Well, finally back at the house today. Haven't been here in a week. Was here last Saturday and did a bunch of work with my buddy Chris, jacking up the roof and stuff. And as most of you know, I messed up my elbow pretty bad falling on it. And it's been totally tolerable as long as I don't touch it on anything. And even working Saturday was totally fine. And it was either Sunday or Monday morning. I woke up and just went to bend my arm. It felt like a bone was ripping through my elbow. So I ended up getting x-rays and stuff. Not a broken bone, it's some sort of tendon or ligament issue. So I was gonna follow through and try and get an MRI and all that jazz. And it's slowly been feeling better throughout the week. So I'm gonna do the typical guy thing and ignore it a little longer. Hopefully not doing more damage. And see if I can get some work done, because I got a lot to do here and I'm dying to see some sort of structural progress. So anyway, let's hope this keeps getting a little better, and we'll see what happens. But today, the weld on the backhoe, that broke again. So now I have a grinder here with cut off wheels and all that stuff. So I'm gonna try and V that out. Still weld it with the little 110 MIG that I have, because I still don't have power on the property. So I'm gonna work on that a little bit probably. And then I wanna work on, basically one of the first things I gotta do is I gotta rip this wall out. And I gotta get to the whole sill along there, and that whole sill or ledger board, whatever you wanna call it. Remember, I'm a mechanic. So I got to replace all that. So I'm going to see about ripping up all these roots and stumps. And there's a decent sized tree stump back there. And I think, yeah, there's still a ton of ice back there. There's still a ton of ice back there. So I think it's going to be probably a fruitless battle trying to dig in there right now. But I'll at least poke at it. Move some of the snow around so the sun can melt it more. We're going to get a few good days, and hopefully this week I can have this wall ripped off and started putting back together. See what happens. Do some time lapse, see where we land. I don't know if you can hear me over the tractor or not, but working on the other side to get that weld ready, realized this was moving more than I thought it should. And this side here, it's loose. You can see that enough. There's a gap in there. And see the bolt's loose up here. Acting up on me, but I put the backhoe down and this whole thing shifted, and this was super loose at that point. So if you look to this side, that's the area with the weld that keeps breaking open. Yeah, so I put the backhoe down to open the weld to some, because I was going to weld it with it open. So that way there it's not trying to rip itself open, because it's kind of holding on its own once it's cracked. And then I realized the other side's loose, so I bet you the other side being loose is contributing to this side cracking. Again, working in a rush, not paying attention, missing stuff like that. So I'll get that other side tightened up as best as I can with a pair of channel locks and vice grips that I have sitting here. And then I'll get on to grinding this out and trying to weld it up. Wish me luck. So got the bolts tight on this side now, down in there. And now, when this was all in the air before, like it is now, nothing's touching the ground, this weld was sealed up. You couldn't even see the crack. Now you can see the cracks open. And that's with all the load of this pulling down, so that weld should be shut. So basically what was happening is this was being welded. Well, the whole thing was leaning on the other loose bolts, and then every time you put the bucket down, it was coming up, and before it would get any tension from the other side, it was relying 100% on this weld. So this is the first tension point, and that made it break. So yeah, so that's good. So now where that's hanging open, I'll put the bucket down and I'll take a little load off of it just to make sure it's totally relaxed. And then I'll start V'ing this out, get the generator out, get the welder out, and start welding this up. Hopefully it works this time. It's still a 110 flux core weld. It's still not a good weld, but it's something. And I got to beat this thing up a little more. I've been beating the crap out of it, so I need to hold together a little longer until I have power here and I get my big welder here. So wish me luck. It holds a little bit longer this time now that I know exactly what's going on. But sometimes it's just trial and error, and when you're doing something like this on the fly, you're just trying to get it done fast so you can get back to work, and that's what I did last time. And I didn't have like tools, like almost no tools here. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to it. Set up the time lapse. It's V'd out. I don't have enough grinding discs to get this flat, so I have to weld to a kind of a subpar weld, and you can see how much I cut off already. There's a big chunk of the V out of there, plus a ton of grinding. Now I'm gonna grab the flapper wheel and see if I can take that down a little more. I'm just running out of the actual like cutoff wheels on it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a shot with a flap disc. Let's see what happens. Well, got a lot of it ground out. Still more to go. I ended up having a super fat grinding disc. They don't work very well, but they last a long time. So I'm working with that. But I just killed all of the batteries for the Milwaukee tools. So I got one on the charger. So I'm going to work on getting the generator out, get that hooked up, propane on it, get the welder out, get that all hooked up. At that point, the battery might be charged up enough, and then I'll do some more, but I got a good amount cut down here. But yeah, now that's all cut down pretty well. I'd like to cut it down a little more right there, and back there a little bit on this back side. Well, that was a ton more grinding. That all cleared out. There's still some on the surface right here, but that doesn't matter because I'm not welding to the surface, I'm welding to the face. So now I got the generator and my little welder guy going. So yeah, now I'm going to attempt to stick that thing together. See what happens. That's how you use a wire brush on a drill when the batteries are all dead. So, not too bad for a first pass. I'll put you guys on the time lapse. There we go. That's a little better. Oh, there's my extra battery pack. Yeah. I pulled one of the batteries off the charger. Alright, now going to the time lapse. There we go. That's the second pass. Not too bad for a flux core welder. Little Harbor Freight job, off-brand generator. I have faith. I think this one's going to hold. Alright, I'm going to put you back on time lapse so I do a couple more layers. Here's the third pass. Looking. Doing the best I can with what I got. Like one of my friend's dads used to say, play with what you're issued. weld. Yeah, let me see, I get a better angle here. Definitely not the prettiest weld, but you see what I'm working with here. Alright, I'm going to weld this side, step back on, and we're going to call it. Well, steps all welded back on. The backhoe is welded on. And it's extra reinforced. And now I gotta put everything away. Grinding stuff, sawzalls, drills, grinder, welder, generator, propane, and laying pad and all that. So now I put the mess away. And yeah, and now see, probably shouldn't be doing this with gum in my mouth. I'm gonna see what I can dig up afterwards. So this is one of the trailers that I bought. I bought it long before I bought the house. I bought it to just store my Camaro in so I could get it out of the storage container it was in temporarily, and then I figured I'd need it for like this move and stuff like that. But I bought this before buying the house, and I was just coming out of it for a second there and looked at the side of the guy's lettering that was on it. Maybe I shouldn't have had him take the lettering off before I bought it. Kitchen and bath remodel. Well, that fits what I'm doing. Mold remediation. Oh yeah, that fits what I'm doing too. Siding and roofing. That fits what I'm doing too. Cleanouts. That fits this also. You name it, we do it. It's pretty freaking ironic. You name it, we do it. That applies to me in general. But all of that plus some applies to this house. That's funny. You never know. Some things just line up, I guess. Well, Mr. Ferguson's weld is holding up well at the moment, and I've been beating it up over here. This is like that absolute Arctic tundra over here, frozen. Everything coming off the roof and piling up, and I used the snow rake on it and pulled all the snow off, so it made a berm, all the water that was coming off, because there's no gutters. This is like solid, but I found a couple of soft spots where once I got down a couple of inches I was able to dig. So I dug down deep, kind of like you get a hot chicken pot pie, and if you don't break it open and make a void for air to get into it, it never cools down. I'm hoping by where I dug deep where I could, that some of this warm weather we're getting is gonna get under there and really thaw it out rather than just try and thaw it from the top. So we're going for the chicken pot pie theory of getting a little heat under there rather than getting a little coolness into the chicken pot pie. So this is where we landed. So just made a big old mess. More stuff here than it looks, but I was only able to get down a couple inches here. All that is solid. I was just combing at it and combing at it, and this whole random area here, that sure looks like pavement to me. It looks like pavement. Now maybe it's just like some sort of black dirt, something in the dirt that made it look black, and it's granular and it's frozen solid because everything's frozen solid, but it looks like random concrete pavement to me. We'll see. And then this is where I got in deep. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's like 3 feet deep there. So hopefully that'll at least thaw all this, because I got to get to that whole sill and everything. And one of the other things, I got to get this out of the way to be able to work with the sill. So if this doesn't come out tomorrow, I'll just cut it as flush to the ground as I can and work around it. But even at this, I was pushing on this part of the wall, and you could see like that's still all frozen solid. That's all tree debris, rot, decay, with all the water that came into it and froze into a solid brick, like all in the bottom of this wall. So that's another thing I need to kind of thaw. So I think what I'll do is probably tomorrow when I first get here in the morning, I'll probably set up the torpedo heater in there and blast it against that wall, or set it up in the basement and blast it up near the floor, cautiously distant enough anyway. And I got a couple of fire extinguishers here just in case. So yeah. So oh boy, that's that. And I'm gonna go poke at something out back over here and see if I can move it. It was frozen solid before. Hello, Mr. Ferguson. Yeah, we got this all cleared. That's like some sort of timbers there that were just frozen solid before. I'm gonna see if I can knock those out, just so I can have a little visual of a nice flat area over there. See what happens. Well, I guess I didn't record a closing video on this, or it got lost in the chaos of the phones having issues. But yeah, that last log that I tried to move, that thing was rock solid in the ground, and then I went over to the shed area to see there's all horse manure in there, and I was just seeing if that would scoop up easy. That wasn't cooperating easy, so I just quit on that. But anyway, as far as that weld I just did, coming at you from a year from when this video was recorded, and that weld is still holding 100% perfectly, and that thing, I've been beating the crap out of it. So that weld is not as perfect as it looked. That thing is rock solid. so I'm happy with that. And yeah, as usual, thank you guys for stopping in and watching, and promise we're going to get to construction. I think it's just a couple more videos, and 2 or 3 more videos I think, and then we start tearing off that front wall. Promise you that's going to be impressive. That is not what I was expecting. Not even the morning we started, it didn't go the way I expected. So anyway, and I did incur an injury during that one, but it is what it is. We survived. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Talk to you guys later.